What's up guys, Mushroom here.
And Heroic Lemon here. This is kind of a continuation on some of the Xbox One topics that we talked about in our PAX Australia convention gaming column that we did last week. If you haven't seen that, there'll be a link on screen now. So go check that out. We're just going to talk about some of the changes that Xbox have revealed.
That's right, Xbox came out with some explanation for the changes, including the DRM, the trading, lending games to each other, the 24-hour internet connection, and the Kinect privacy issues that were stated and brought up during E3, along with the ability to trade in, lend, resell, gift, and rent disc-based games just like you do today. So there will be no limitations to using and sharing games. It will work just as it does today on the Xbox 360. Unlike Microsoft's plan for the Xbox One, which would mean that every game you bought, physical or digital, would be tied to your account. This would eliminate current gen problems like buying a disc and then being unable to store it or download it from the cloud. Now what that means is it's kind of a big problem. If you lose your disc, you're basically screwed, as opposed to a completely digital world where we just have a DRM linked to our accounts, which would mean that we wouldn't have to go and repurchase something. We would just have to re-download or install something if it somehow got corrupt. This sort of system has been used to great success in the Steam community on both Mac and PC. So you can actually just download games on a one-off price and then you re-download it if you ever need it again.
Now on Xbox's first proposed system, because resale games would now be sold through a hub, publishers could make money on resale games. And now you're seeing a little screenshot here from Steam. You can see some of the discounted prices here.
The reason those discounted prices are actually available is because the publishers can then resell the DRM attached to the game. So they're not actually earning money from EB Games or from GameStop or anything like that when you trade in a disc and then they sell it again. The publishers earn nothing, which means they can put it up for a discounted price. So as you can see there, there's like a million games that are under $10 and even under $5 on this system. As well as using a similar system to Steam, which obviously wasn't perfect when it first came out, but has sort of gained popularity and obviously accrued an audience that is just amazing and fully puts into it. You'd be able to see developers like indie developers putting out indie games onto Xbox Ones without actually having massive publishers push their work, which would just mean a massive thing for tiny studios. A lot of developers actually don't have the money to just go to a publisher. But with this system, they'd be able to push games directly out onto consoles. So games like DayZ, which is a mod for Arma 2, which was on PC, would be able to push out onto Xbox One. Similarly, games like Sniper Elite V2, Nazi Zombie Army, which is actually a standalone DLC for the game Sniper Elite V2.
Now the next big thing that they talked about was the internet connection, and an internet connection will now not be required to play offline Xbox games on the Xbox One. So after a one system setup with the new Xbox One, you can play any disc-based games without ever connecting online, just like the Xbox 360. So you can take your Xbox anywhere and just play it like it is now.
That's right, and what that kind of means is the attempt that they were going for was to counter people who would download the game on friends' systems and then turn their system offline, go home, play it on their own system so that both of them could play, and one of them was playing for free, which is ripping off the publishers. But to counter that, they actually came out with a family plan sort of thing. They hadn't released many details on it yet, but it was basically, even if it came out as a one-person share, where you could share with one person, that's better than what we have at the moment, which is hard disks you cannot share.
Now the next thing that they talked about was the privacy concerns with the Kinect system on the Xbox One, and basically these state representatives Mike and Walter came up with they drafted a bill called the We Are Watching You Act, which requires companies to warn their users about being watched on their systems and having their data sent back to companies. And since it was an opt-in program, basically the users who declined this would they wouldn't get all the specs. They'd get some of the things taken off them that other users who had to use the system would.
So basically, Xbox came out with a statement that said you are in control of when Kinect sensing is on, off, or paused. If you don't want the Kinect sensor on while playing games or enjoying your entertainment, you can pause the Kinect. To turn off your Xbox One, just say Xbox off. When the system is off, it's only listening for the single voice command Xbox on, and you can even turn that feature off too. Some apps and games may require Kinect functionality to operate, so you'll need to turn it back on for those experiences, which basically just means they're not dumb enough to just be spying on you in your house. And for those people who kind of just jumped on that bandwagon of arguing, it's kind of a stupid argument to make. It violates your rights as a human being to actually spy on you in your house, so it was never going to happen. Silly argument, didn't want to spend too much time on it, but I wanted to spend time on the topic of DRM, which was a massive thing, obviously for those people who thought that maybe if they got banned from a game they would lose their rights. They would lose the game that they paid for. A writer at Gizmodo came up with a perfect example of an effective DRM in practice, and that is World of Warcraft, which is more or less the most popular game of the past decade. Basically, what it means is Blizzard, the company who made World of Warcraft, has made it so it's played entirely online. It's always online. Your account is not your property. Blizzard can ban it or remove items from it at its pleasure. Everything is within its right to actually change and adapt.
So with this new system, it kind of prevents users from exploiting things like glitches and people hacking other people's accounts in fear of losing the game and losing their rights with the game and their privileges on a game that they actually purchased themselves.
So on the flip side of that, you've got people who are scared of being banned or losing their account on certain games that they might not have actually done anything wrong on. Obviously, there's a line. Obviously, they're smart on how they actually judge the system. So you're not going to just lose something you've paid for without actually doing something bad to actually cause that. Now, with all the stuff we've spoken about today, I know it's a lot to take in. It's a lot for us to actually understand and read and pronounce ourselves. But what do you guys want to see in the Xbox system or even on the PS3, PS4, isn't it?
Well,
that shows how up-to-date I am.
You're a few years behind. There's one thing I really, really want to see, and that's the whole deal with Wi-Fi and just remembering a network. So when you, because with me, I take my Xbox every week to a new spot and I have to reconnect and then reconnect back when I go back to my own house. So I'd love for it to be like a laptop or a phone where it just recognizes the network.
Now,
that's something I'd like.
Now, the one thing I would like to see is friend groups. So I would like to be able to organize my friends on my friends list, which is apparently now over 1,000, over 100 people. You can have 1,000. But I'd like to be able to organize my friends into subscribers, people I play with often, and things like that. But yeah, guys, leave it down in the comment section down below what you guys want to actually see, and we'll see you next time.
Ciao.